The San Francisco Board of Supervisors has voted unanimously to declare the NRA a terrorist organization. Now, this is a symbolic vote, but the whole point of this is to pressure businesses to no longer do business with the NRA. I want to give you the details on what they're hoping to accomplish. The resolution, which passed unanimously Tuesday night, claims the NRA promotes extremist positions, spreads propaganda to deceive the American public about gun violence, incites gun owners to active violence, and has armed those individuals who would have committed acts of terrorism. It calls for the city and county to take every responsible, or I should say reasonable step to limit San Francisco's financial and contractual relationships with vendors who do business with the NRA. But the resolution does not, for example, carry the law enforcement implications of designation as a foreign terrorist organization. So this is, again, symbolic, but the NRA is upset about it. Now, before I get to the NRA statements, I just want to show you a little piece of evidence that might have persuaded the Board of Supervisors to vote in the way that they did. Take a look.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth.
The clenched fist of ISIS. I mean, NRA, sorry, NRA.
So she showed images, I mean, that's an NRA ad. And I remember when it came out, we talked about it on the show, but she's showing images of people protesting, which is, by the way, protected under our Constitution, right? But that's not part of the Constitution the NRA really cares about. I mean, they'll say the Second Amendment is meant to protect the First, but they don't actually mean it. So anyway, I want to give you the statement from the NRA and then debunk what they're saying, because of course they lie. So NRA spokeswoman Amy Hunter called the resolution a worthless and disgusting soundbite remedy to the violence epidemic gripping our nation.
Because the NRA is so concerned about that violence epidemic. I mean, they're thinking if we could just increase gun sales just a little bit more,
right,
and get that epidemic a little higher, well, then we'll make more money.
She continues to say, this is a reckless assault on a law-abiding organization, its members, and the freedoms they all stand for. Well, let's talk about whether or not the NRA is law-abiding, because I remember earlier this year there was a story that broke about the NRA not following the law. In May, New York financial regulators determined that the NRA was illegally selling insurance policies to gun owners that protected them from court costs after they fired weapons in acts of intentional wrongdoing. Just to give you some more details on this.
What happened to the good guys with the guns? That looks like you're defending the bad guys with the guns who intentionally did wrongdoing with their guns, because what do you care? You just want to make money off of guns. So people die, great, who cares? Let's make more money.
Yeah, which is illegal, so you guys aren't law-abiding. The NRA, this is according to Tim Dickinson from Rolling Stone, the NRA actively marketed Carry Guard, a policy to reimburse members for legal costs incurred after firing a legal gun. The state of New York found that Carry Guard unlawfully provided liability insurance to gun owners for certain acts of intentional wrongdoing. The NRA's insurance partners agreed to stop selling the policies and pay a $7 million fine.
Yeah, would that policy still apply if they shot cops? Because they're saying, hey, I'm going to defend you even if you do intentional wrongdoing of firing your weapon. So that could certainly be against the cop too. But the NRA is like, oh my God, the liberals are protesting. We have to have our clenched fists against them. It's our only choice. I know, Al Qaeda says the same thing. Anyway, so look, is the NRA an actual domestic terrorist organization? No. Okay, so they are not planning acts of terror. They're not carrying them out. Do we have stochastic terrorism in the country? Random acts of violence committed that terrorize the country, aided and abetted and encouraged by the right wing, Donald Trump and NRA? Yes. Okay, but nobody's going to charge them with the crime of terrorism. The crime of domestic terrorism doesn't even exist. So, but the first part of what the San Francisco Board of Supervisors said is absolutely right. Quote, this country is terrorized by gun violence.
Yes.
We all are. We're all worried about our kids. We're worried about the schools, the malls, the Walmarts, the movie theaters. We're all terrorized by this more than anything else in the country.
I do want to also read one more quote, and this is from a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Her name is Catherine Estefani, and she says, quote, every country on earth has video games, movies, and mental health issues. And yet only the United States has gun violence at elementary schools, at the movies, at Walmart. The difference is guns. No other country has so many assault rifles on their streets. I know that's a point that we've made on this show often, but I think it's important to keep reiterating that, because on one hand you have them claiming, oh, it's a mental health issue, it's a mental health crisis. But then they never do anything about the mental health crisis that they claim is leading to all these mass shootings. They never want to fund it. They just use mental health as the scapegoat to divert the conversation. And at the same time, look, there are mental health issues in all these other countries, but they don't have the same issues that we do.
I want to give you one stat about video games. So no country on earth spends more on video games per capita than Japan, okay? But Japan has very strict gun control. So in America, how many gun deaths are there every year? About 40,000. Now, how many are in Japan? They play more video games. Under 10 per year. 10 versus 40,000. Okay, it's the guns, stupid. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.